Jezebel. The name itself evokes images of a woman of unparalleled beauty and ambition, a woman who would stop at nothing to get what she wanted, no matter the cost. Her story is one of power, intrigue, and ultimately tragedy, a tale that has echoed through the ages.
Born a princess in the opulent and decadent world of Sidon, a Phoenician city-state, I was raised to believe in the power of the gods, especially Baal, the storm god, who commanded the skies and the seas. I was accustomed to luxury, intrigue, and the complex dance of court politics and the wielding of power, a skill I honed from a young age.
Her father, Ethbaal, was not a king by birthright. He was a priest of Astarte who ascended to the throne through ruthless ambition, seizing power with a firm hand, eventually ruling both as king and high priest, a dual role that commanded respect and fear. This background instilled in Jezebel a certain ruthlessness, a determination to achieve her goals by any means necessary.
The Kingdom of Israel, however, was a world away from the luxury of Phoenicia, a stark contrast to my homeland. It was a landlocked kingdom with a harsh, arid terrain, its people devoted to Yahweh, a single God who demanded their unwavering loyalty. When I arrived in Israel to marry King Ahab, I brought with me the opulence and religious practices of my homeland, hoping to blend our cultures.
This clash of cultures would have dire consequences, setting the stage for conflict and strife. The stage was set for a dramatic clash of wills, a battle of ideologies and power, a clash that would shake the very foundations of the kingdom, leaving a legacy of turmoil and change. Ahab, the king of Israel, was a weak and indecisive ruler. He was easily swayed by those around him, particularly by his new queen.
With my sharp intellect and even sharper tongue, I quickly took advantage of my husband's weakness. I became the power behind the throne, manipulating Ahab to achieve my own ambitions.
Her influence was subtle at first, a whisper here, a suggestion there, but it was not long before Jezebel's will became law in Israel. She used her position to amass wealth and power, surrounding herself with loyal followers and ruthlessly eliminating any who dared to oppose her.
The people of Israel, accustomed to the simple piety of their former kings, were both awed and terrified by their new queen.
Jezebel was a devout follower of Baal and Asherah, the deities of her homeland. She believed that her gods had given her the right to rule. Upon her arrival in Israel, she wasted no time in establishing their worship.
Temples were built, altars were erected, and priests were brought from Phoenicia to officiate.
This did not sit well with the Israelites, who were fiercely devoted to Yahweh, the one true God. They saw Jezebel's actions as an affront to their faith, an insult to their God. The seeds of rebellion were sown, but Jezebel, blinded by her own piety and ambition, remained oblivious. The prophet Elijah emerged as the primary voice of opposition against Jezebel's religious reforms. He was a beacon of hope for those who remained faithful to Yahweh, standing firm against the tide of idolatry. A fiery and charismatic figure, Elijah was a staunch defender of Yahweh. He saw Jezebel's promotion of Baal worship as an abomination, a direct challenge to Yahweh's authority. His unwavering faith and bold proclamations made him a revered and feared figure among the Israelites.
I openly denounced Jezebel and Ahab, calling down the wrath of Yahweh upon them. Their actions were not just political but spiritual betrayals, and I could not remain silent.
Elijah challenged the priests of Baal to a contest on Mount Carmel. He said that the true God would answer by fire. This was a bold move, a public demonstration of faith that would leave no room for doubt. Elijah's God sent fire from heaven, consuming the sacrifice. The people were convinced, and the prophets of Baal were slain. This miraculous event solidified Elijah's position as a true prophet of Yahweh.
This enraged me. I swore revenge on Elijah, forcing him to flee for his life. My wrath knew no bounds, and I vowed to see him destroyed.
And so the clash between Jezebel and the prophet Elijah marked a pivotal moment in the history of Israel, a moment that would echo through the ages. Their conflict was not just a personal vendetta, but a battle for the spiritual soul of a nation.
Jezebel's downfall began with a vineyard, a seemingly innocent piece of land that would set off a chain of tragic events. She coveted the vineyard of Naboth, a simple farmer who had tended to it with care and dedication for years.
When Naboth refused to sell, Jezebel, driven by her insatiable greed, used her power to have him falsely accused of blasphemy and treason, crimes punishable by death.
Naboth was stoned to death by an angry mob. His vineyard was seized, and Jezebel thought she had won.
This act of blatant injustice outraged even Ahab, who had been complicit in many of Jezebel's schemes. Elijah, the fearless prophet, reappeared, pronouncing Yahweh's severe judgment on Jezebel and Ahab for their heinous acts.
He prophesied that dogs would devour Jezebel, a fate reserved for the most wicked.
Ahab died in battle, fulfilling Elijah's prophecy and marking the beginning of the end for Jezebel's reign. Jezebel met her end when Jehu, a ruthless military commander, seized control of the kingdom with an iron fist.
As Jehu entered the palace, Jezebel, in a final act of defiance, adorned herself in her finest robes and met Jehu's gaze from her window, unyielding and proud. She taunted him with biting words, but her defiance fell on deaf ears.
Jehu ordered his men to throw her down from the window. Her blood splattered on the wall, a grim testament to her fall. Just as Elijah had prophesied, dogs devoured her body, leaving only her skull, feet, and hands, a chilling reminder of her ruthless ambition and ultimate demise.
Athalia, the daughter of Jezebel, inherited her mother's ambition and ruthlessness. Married to Jehoram, the king of Judah, she brought the same religious practices and political maneuvering to the southern kingdom. When her son Ahaziah was killed after a brief reign, Athalia seized power for herself. She usurped the throne, becoming the only female monarch to rule Judah in her own right. To secure her position, she ordered the execution of all potential rivals, including her own grandchildren, Ahaziah's sons. Only one infant prince, Joash, escaped her bloody purge, hidden away by his aunt.
Athalia's reign was marked by the same intensity and ferocity that defined her mother's rule. She was determined to hold on to power at any cost, even if it meant turning against her own family. Athalia, hearing the commotion, rushed to the temple. Jehoiada, the high priest, orchestrated a daring plan. He revealed Joash's true identity to the people and crowned him king. Meanwhile, the young Prince Joash, hidden within the temple walls, grew up unaware of his true identity. However, the memory of Davidic kings and the worship of Yahweh still burned bright in the hearts of many. For 6 long years, Athalia ruled Judah with an iron fist. She continued the practice of Baal worship, much to the dismay of the people.
What is this? How dare they defy me?
Athalia's grip on power was slipping, and the people were ready to embrace a new leader. Athalia entered the temple just as Joash was being crowned. She cried out in protest, but it was too late. The people had turned against her.
No, this cannot be. I am the queen.
Jehoiada, fearing she would incite a rebellion, ordered her taken from the temple and executed. Athalia, like her mother before her, met a violent end. Her reign of terror brought to an abrupt and bloody close.
The story of Jezebel and Athalia serves as a cautionary tale. Both women were strong and ambitious, but their ambition was their undoing. Their pursuit of power led them to commit terrible acts that ultimately brought about their downfall. They remain powerful symbols of religious persecution and the dangers of unchecked ambition. Their story, passed down through millennia, continues to fascinate and horrify, a stark reminder of the corrupting influence of power.
Indeed, the legacy of Jezebel and Athalia is one of infamy, a chilling testament to the destructive potential of power when wielded without conscience or restraint.